Hi, everyone, and welcome to our last session of the Expert Finder Systems virtual conference. Just a few tips about Remo. As you've seen, it's a virtual workspace with tables and chairs, and most of you probably know the drill by now. But to move tables, double-click on any empty seat. So during the coffee talk, you can go ahead and click on an empty seat to sit down. If you hear a knock, it means somebody's sitting down at your table. You'll also see basic information such as first and last name. By clicking on an attendee's avatar, it'll display additional information from their Remo profile. You can use the bar at the bottom of your screen to send Q&A questions. Please feel free to send Q&A session questions at any time. We have people here monitoring those, and then during Q&A sessions, we'll traffic them to appropriate people. So if you have any issues, you can find me or Kim Lloyd with FuseHub or Carmi Greenwood through the chat. And I'd also want to make sure that we thank our sponsors. Our gold sponsors are Elsevier and Digital Science, and our silver sponsors are Clarivate and Ex Libris. So thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate it. So I'd like to invite up on the stage Rebecca Augustiniak to join me so that she can moderate the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Kim. So welcome to the final session of the International Expert Finder Systems Forum Series. We've had great attendance at the event with a diverse audience representing numerous countries. We hope that our next event can be face-to-face, hopefully in Miami, with possibly an online component. A conference evaluation will be sent to you in the next several days. Please take a few minutes to give us your feedback so we can develop an event that aims to meet our stakeholder needs. I want to give a very special thank you to all the committee members for their efforts on making this event happen despite of COVID. Everyone went the extra mile to make the forum as relevant, interesting, and inclusive as possible. Also, a big thank you to all of the presenters for their willingness to share their expertise and lessons learned. If you're interested in serving on the planning committee, please let Amy Finley know. Her email's on the forum website, afinley@fsu.edu. So today's sessions are collaborating with external partners and Q&A with RIM system vendors. There will be a Q&A for each session. So I want to encourage you to put your questions in the Q&A tab in the right-hand side of your screen and not in the chat if possible. So first up today is collaborating with external partners. And I'd like to welcome Irina Lindell from Cleveland State University, who will facilitate this panel discussion. So Irina, if you can join us on stage.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful event. And we will have an exciting session, I hope, and we will talk with old and new friends about the expert finder systems and web portals that are hosting those systems. So the story started in 2015 when we partnered with the Ohio State University to study some experiences in other states. And let me tell you this story a little bit by sharing my screen and showing some slides. Just be patient with me. I hope you can see my slides. Okay, so just two words who I am. I work at the Cleveland State University at Urban College. I'm the director of the Center for Economic Development. We're a small research unit at the university. And we primarily do applied research, specializing in regional industrial cluster analysis, We tackle research questions around ecology of innovation and entrepreneurship, do some research in workforce development, in economic impact, and in partnerships with the Ohio State University. And basically, they posed the question about what if we want to develop the exchange of the expert finder system in Ohio, what can we learn from other states? So as scientists, we always look first into the literature. We look what are the new trends in university industry innovation, exchange and collaboration, how to develop some toolkits around the new system. But most of all, we were seeking for the best practices in developing not only the system and the web portal that will host this system, but also how to develop very successful infrastructure and ecology around the system that it will get a good usage. So we discussed as a research question what value proposition would be created by Ohio Innovation Exchange online tool and how we can promote it to manufacturing companies and to super users, those that would be a maybe primary audience and will use extensively the systems. What training should be provided to the super users to utilize the newly created system? So we assemble a research team for this, and we look basically across all states and identified 7 case studies that we've conducted. And those were in University of California's Technology Transfer System, Arizona Expert System, Texas Influent, Michigan System, New York Fuse Hub, North Carolina Research on NC, and Florida ExpertNet. What we did, we conducted study with various stakeholders that relates to each system, and we asked major questions around what was the initial funding and source of sustaining the web portal, how the portal started, who initiated it, what was the main audience to create this portal for, who the partners, where the data and the web tool of the Finder system would be housed. We ask about any special tools that you develop in around the system and how you promote it for users or super users, and some systems call them power users. And of course, we ask, like, do you evaluate the efficiency of your system, how it works and how it's utilized? We studied the 7 case studies and basically created the case of each system, and we learned that something was common to all of them, and some systems varied. So with the number of recommendations, how to develop Ohio Exchange web portal. And one of the very strong recommendations was about marketing. So it's not only enough to develop the system, but you really need to promote it for the use. So you need to have a strategy, you need to have a designated funding for that. And you need to have a designated people who will be your cheerleaders and promoters and will go regular to different events and promote the usage of the Expert Finder system. The other strong recommendation was develop really a clear goal and clear understanding who is your audience. And according to this, target primary events with your marketing to get to your audience. Attend professional meetings, attend training meetings, conferences, host the event, and show the usage of the system. The other important thing was to develop an identity of the portal and develop, if you will, a brand and promote it, and to market your tool to out-of-state users. Around the super users, there was a special question, and again, we developed a special recommendations. So some existing system used portal widgets where they would place part of the information to a more regionalized hub, which was basically make to use the system easier. Some existing systems were very successful in engaging MEP centers and collaborating with them very closely, teaching how to use this system and engaging them in collaboration with university. Participate in your super user events and promote your system to participants. Target group of entrepreneurs and talk to economic development intermediaries. And of course, like, you should have a promotional materials, put them online, training videos online, basically promote it like a business. We did find some interesting recommendation for the training of super users and promoting your system both through training and make your super users also to promote it. So there were different stages, and again, this was our vision at that time, and I'm sure if we would do the study today, it would be slightly different. We pay big attention to evaluation. Before opening the portal, we suggested to develop an evaluation strategy, measures, basically with this measures in mind, that you can really track your usage and calculate return on investment. We learned that developing those tools and conducting evaluation is expensive, so designate the budget for evaluation. And not always the number can tell the story, so having a qualitative component of evaluation would be very useful. And there's always kind of best practices among others, but at the time when we look across of the 7 web portals, there was very limited component of evaluation, and we could not really find a one best practice which we can point to and say this is really a system of evaluation that we would recommend. We also ask question about long-term strategy and sustainability of this tool. And even now, looking at those 7 examples, we know that even among the 7 systems, not all of them made it since 2015 to now. And partially, I believe that's because they might not have this thoughts what would happen in 3, 5, 10 years with the system, how to sustain it. And you need really to include it in the component of your operation. So who owns the data, where data will be housed, what would be the role of different users and stakeholders in this system. You need to build the group of supporters, and your strong support might come from your advisory committee and operations committee. Develop clear roles for all these supporters and friends, and think about long-term sustainability strategy. And again, the idea is you have a product that you are offering. Think about how your product will innovate, how you will sustain your product, and how you will promote it. So if we would do this study now, of course, we will ask some additional questions. We would ask how the system would respond now in the world where so many jobs are shifted to remote operational environment. When you have your main product, how your product should change over time to respond to this new world we're living in, with such a strong need for innovation and demand for innovation. How does availability of broadband affecting the system services? Do you compete for space and specifically for attention? We all know that now we're getting at least 10, 20 emails daily for participating in events and joining different projects. How the systems will survive in this environment. And just for comparison, at that time in 2015, this was clearly a pioneering system that were completely online, and some stakeholders were resistant to the knowledge to have a tool that is like 100% online. Well, look at us today. what a new product and new services can you offer through the systems accounting for all these changes in the today's world? So this is kind of a very short overview in how we approach the analysis of the systems in the past. And I would love to turn floor to representatives of these successful systems that operate now and ask them to discuss and to talk about their systems, emphasizing about what have changed over the last 5 years with their systems. And for Ohio expert finder system, how is it taking off? How did the system respond to developing marketing strategy, engagement with super users, and training? Is anything changed and anything you're doing differently? Are you evaluating your system? And if yes, what measures are you using and how you evaluate your system? Do you have long-term strategy and sustainability? Did you build the committees of your friends, the advisory committee or operational committee? Please want to turn the floor to the owners and representatives of these finder systems, and I want to invite them online. So Amy, would you be willing to join?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm trying to unshare, but I can't see the screen.
You're not sharing right now.
Yes. Okay, Amy, would you take a floor and share
Sure.
knowledge about your system?
All right, will do. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn off my video. My name's Amy Finley. I'm from Florida State University, and I'm the director of Florida ExpertNet. All right. ExpertNet is a publicly funded statewide expertise system that includes 10 public and 2 private universities in Florida. It provides not only information about experts, but also projects, centers and institutes, technologies for licensing, as well as a speakers bureau. It is designed to serve a wide audience, including researchers, government agencies, and business and industry. We built and maintain ExpertNet with an in-house team of information managers, application developers, and multimedia designers. We are somewhat different than many systems in that our core data for experts is based on funded projects rather than publications. We do quite a bit of data cleanup, both through using digital tools that we've created and some manual curation as well. And we also ask our experts to add to their profile. For technologies for licensing, we built spiders to grab the data from the university websites. The offices for commercialization don't have any funding to help with this data, so we've developed the spiders in-house again to go and scrape that data off their websites. So the site has been operating for 2 decades. I think we were the very first one in the country, though I can't absolutely confirm that, but I'm not aware of any others that were around for several years after we had started. This is what we look like in our tender years, the very beginning. This is what we look like now. Over a decade ago, we decided to adopt a new logo and color scheme, and we've been very happy with that since. We've added several features in the last 5 years. Expert Connect is an app that will allow anyone who wants to publish ExpertNet data to their own website. They can do that. There's a simple tool to do that, or we can customize it for them if they want more information. So FSU FAMU, we worked with them recently and launched an Expert Connect data push to their website of their faculty profiles, and they've been very happy with that. We created a special edition page for COVID-19 and created the infrastructure that we can actually pretty quickly publish additional special topic pages as needed. We've got a pretty robust social media presence in Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We've created trending reports that show what the popular search terms are for the month, and we email those out every month. And we've given experts the ability to add links to their profile to their video presentations. So we have a lot of, that's been a very popular feature. So here's what we will look like soon. Our web developers are busy building this. This is the prototype here, but they're actually building the actual site, and we're hoping to be able to launch that soon. We're going to be adding new features like news stories. These are going to be selected from our social media post and put in a database and then linked directly to an expert or center profile. So those will show up on the person's or the center's profile when you pull them up. We're actually working with several of our universities to consume publication data and as well as other data. So creating new data sources, and we're reworking the back end of our system to provide more integration of the data. We're expanding our organization's data to include sponsors, affiliates, and statewide centers of excellence, as well as connecting things more through our research taxonomy. We spend a lot of effort in marketing and outreach. It allows us to communicate the value of Florida ExpertNet to our stakeholders in order to increase awareness and hopefully use. We created an automated email system to send established communications and dynamic reports to experts, center directors, and university leadership. Our experts receive dynamic quarterly reports that detail how many views their profile has had. It also displays counts of views by country, project, and speaker presentation. We also send something similar for center directors, and then to university leadership, we send a summary across the university. And so we found this has been a real good spur to experts to pay attention to their profile when they see that people are actually coming to their profile. Here's a list of stakeholders and audiences we've identified for ExpertNet. Faculty experts and center directors and inventors are major targets for us. We felt it was critical to market to experts for several reasons. So they can see the value of the expertise system, both from the perspective of a participant as well as consumer, and to increase their active participation in the system, and to make them aware that the system is being marketed to other stakeholders. We also maintain a mailing list of economic development organizations, libraries, associations, government contacts, and legislators, state legislators. We've recently expanded our stakeholders to include university offices of scholarly communication and faculty advancement. So we send out communications to these groups based on, we've got them tagged on what group they fall into. So some communications will only go to a subset of them, but we keep those directories up to date so we can quickly deploy an email marketing campaign. We don't directly market to businesses and industry because we really don't have a reliable source for emails for them, and we couldn't do a direct snail mail marketing campaign. That would be too expensive. So we rely on our other stakeholders as conduits to this community, economic development organizations particularly. We also have a very active social media campaign. This allows us to raise awareness about ExpertNet to a wider audience and than our email lists. And as I mentioned earlier in the redesign, we'll be adding many of our social media posts to a database that links with the ExpertNet profiles. We've also organized a statewide meeting of university stakeholders to try to facilitate cooperation between institutions and possibly share resources. We met virtually last May and June. We also spearheaded the creation of this forum in order to network, share ideas, and create a community of practice. And I hope we are succeeding. We don't have direct metrics of success, that gold standard. We do have some tools to try and track activity on our site and in our social media. To gauge the effectiveness of our marketing experts, we created several dashboards that give us quick stats on profile activity. One helps us track what content areas have been populated by experts and when. So if we just sent out an email report and a certain number of experts went to their profiles shortly afterwards, we can assume the report helped drive the experts to their profiles. We're also able to track in our databases how often specific pages are viewed. We post the experts' number of views on their profile page is another way to show value. We use Google Analytics to examine site traffic. For instance, when we advertised our new feature of a COVID-19 research special topic, we observed a spike in traffic on our Google Analytics dashboard. And then each social media platform has built-in metric tools that calculate likes, shares, retweets, and followers. We were curious about who was visiting our site, but since we don't require a login, we don't really have a good mechanism for doing that. We were able to look at domain names of visitors in Google Analytics. Here's an example of a report we assembled in 2017 based on the network provider names of the visitors. Many of the providers included their organization name. We were able to get an idea who was using ExpertNet. We visited the websites of these providers in order to categorize their organization type and exclude commercial network domain providers such as Comcast. The final data set was 1,278 organizations that included companies, universities, K-12 institutions, local governments, nonprofits, and research institutions. Although it would give us better metrics, we don't want to create barriers by requiring a login to search the site. However, we are working on plans for adding some customization features where you can sort of save some of your searches and other kinds of customizations to the site that would require a login. We're hoping that will be attractive to users and that will help us get more concrete data, or at least an avenue to getting some more concrete data. That's a quick overview of what we're doing here at Florida ExpertNet. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. So we hope you can ask questions in the chat, and I want to invite Jeff to share his findings.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Amy. It's always amazing. I'm trying to, there we go, screen one. It's always amazing to be able to hear the granddaddy of all, or the grandparent of all systems, Florida ExpertNet, because it really form with tremendous potential. You should be seeing my screen now, which is the Ohio Innovation Exchange. I spoke to most of this group back on March 4th. So rather than get into the same level of detail that Amy did, I thought I would do a very brief demo and answer some of the questions that Irina kind of posed to us. So our system is a statewide system where we've brought together multiple universities who've stepped forward. And one of the ways we're trying to capture outcomes is this contact us form. We're in and check boxes and tell us what they're looking for, from a research collaboration to grad students or just a general question. These are currently the 6 universities that are engaged. And we have several, well, I guess you could say we have a few universities that are waiting in the wings that have expressed interest, and we're eager to help them get on board. as you can imagine, it's a process to get their data organized and loaded and cleaned up and all that stuff. But we hope to have many of the other universities in Ohio on the platform soon. Our search box is the homepage. It really is designed to be like a Google search engine. We have several databases currently available in the system. From the very beginning, we wanted it to be more than just a phone book. Yes, there are experts across 4 universities. I think the grand total is somewhere around 8,000 profiles right now for the state. We have equipment, resources, and services, everything from databases, software, to high-end instrumentation, facilities, all that kind of stuff. And then we have patent information. Our platform is run on the Symplectic Elements Discovery module, which they've been a fantastic partner. They're going to be talking later today. So we always like to bring up our poster child, Glenn Dane. Glenn Dane is one of my favorite faculty members because he represents the faculty member of the future. He had a long, long industry career before coming to academia. And because of that, he's able to speak to industry in a way that, say, some faculty that have a traditional academic preparation can't. And he has put a profile together that really does speak to industry, has links to his YouTube channel and Twitter feeds and all that. You can see his publications, and his grant funding has been absolutely amazing in the short time that he's been at Ohio State, securing very prestigious grants in a wide variety of spaces, just to kind of give you an idea. Our engine is designed to allow people to search in different ways. Obviously, that goes without saying. A couple things about what's changed. We were on the Dimensions platform, which honestly was much more bibliometric in its design. And now the Discovery module is much more focused on kind of the user experience, I guess you could say. One of the things that we really like about it is the keyword tags that allow you to search. This has been a huge change, and the faculty are really excited about it. Based on their publications, these are auto-generated and they can be modified, but it's a way for people to find one another and collaborate across the state of Ohio as well as beyond. We also have now social media links like media clips to video, things like that. Sorry, I'm going to jump back to the home. The other things we've done. A big focus now is sort of highlighting things with business and industry in mind. The platform has always been set up with that as the focus. Not to say that we're not interested in fostering collaboration across the state or faculty to faculty, academic to academic, but our make the resources of higher education transparent and accessible to our business and industry, not only in Ohio, but beyond. So one of the features we've done, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, we've put together a toolkit with the help of Melissa Lampeel, who's our Director of Marketing Communications. And so we have a logo that people can embed on their site. We encourage our university partners and others to do that with a link to the tool. We put together a university executive briefing. So as new execs come in to different universities, there's a way to kind of see what the program's all about, and you can read all the detail. FAQs and business and industry FAQs, and then a fact sheet just about the platform. We hope in the future to continue to partner with the state of Ohio. They have been our chief executive sponsor in terms of being able to keep the program going. And that's been absolutely fantastic in terms of providing grant funding and support for all of us. There isn't a full-time staff person that runs the platform. We used to joke that we were an army of volunteers, but that wasn't 100% true. Some of us were part of our salary was being picked up by the state. Grant that's helping us do some of the things that Dr. Lindell talked about: marketing, sustainability planning, program evaluation, and enhancements to the platform. One of the things we're really excited about, and I know that she's on the call, is Jess McIntosh is leading our partnership with libraries from across the state. These are higher education institution libraries that are both participants of the Ohio Innovation Exchange as well as folks that are just curious about what we're doing, and so they might be from universities that haven't yet joined. And that group is helping to drive the kinds of questions that librarians are so good at. How can we enhance search? How can we generate reports that are meaningful? Are there ways to build, I think one of the recent things we talked about just this week is a speakers bureau. We're sure faculty that are available to deliver trainings, keynote addresses, or experts on a particular topic, and feature them as another tool on the site. So let me stop there in the interest of time, because I want to make sure we have time for questions at the end, and I will hand it back to Dr. Lundell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. On the best interest of time, I would invite Kim to join her findings, and we will answer questions at the end of the panel. Kim?
Thank you. Share my screen. Okay. All right, thanks everybody. I'm with Fuse Hub. I know I've probably been on every single session so far, but I am the Director of Special Projects here at Fuse Hub, and we're based in New York State, and our goal is to really drive New York State competitiveness in manufacturing by helping connect manufacturers to discover, navigate, and leverage information and assets in the ecosystem of New York State. So the New York MEP Center, you may have heard that the MEP system a few times today, and that is funded by NIST. It's a federal program. Every state has a manufacturing extension partnership center, and we're all funded to help small to mid-sized manufacturers in New York State. So it's kind of a unique mix of technology, including our portal, and manufacturing expertise, and then a database of resources and a network of resources. And the way we get everyone together is really we use marketing as a tool, as Arena mentioned earlier, marketing as a tool in order to drive engagement into our database. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. An MEP center usually focuses on helping with innovation, quality control. We had a lot of, our biggest bump in requests with COVID was about funding programs for small to mid-sized manufacturers. So grant programs for small to mid-sized, that was probably our biggest uptick in types of requests that came into our portal. The innovation assets are all over the state. We're aligned with 10 regional centers. We're the only statewide center. And in addition to the MEP, some of our funding is from Empire State Development, a New York State agency, and they have grant programs that have 75 plus centers and $50 million in funding across the state. So Fuse Hub's not only charged with helping connect manufacturers to other MEP, also to these 75 centers, and we've thrown in a lot of private entities, including contract manufacturers and others, and economic development agencies. So it's a one-stop shop for New York State manufacturers, and we have our platform. Unlike the others in the EFS that you've heard from today, ours is not public-facing yet. We do want to take our database and make it public-facing, but we're trying to build a business model around it so that it's sustainable. And so we will be looking at technologies, because ours is a homegrown CRM, mainly a CRM expert finder system, and not necessarily a search tool. So we would be looking for kind of off-the-shelf technologies when we do make that business case to go public-facing. And then our team of technology experts use the portal to nurture requests and help us track that kind of engagement. We use matchmaking forums in order to connect resources to manufacturers. Here's a screenshot of, we set up all these tables. All the resources have either a sheet if they're computer shy, or they can actually log into the portal and log their engagements through the portal for all of their conversations with their manufacturers that day. And we hand pick and match, so we don't, it's not like a free-for-all. So it's not like an expo where it's kind of, you just walk around and go to a booth that you want to go to. We match people up ahead of time and track all those matches in our portal. So this is a little bit about our process, but I won't, in the interest of time, I won't go through everything here. We talked a little bit already about the types of requests that might come into the portal. Funding and grant identification is like I said, as a result of COVID, has definitely gone up. So our portal, here's a couple of screenshots from it. We match experts, which could include universities, innovation assets, contract manufacturers, or economic development agencies, and we track them and match them within the portal. And then we use the portal to have, it's hard to see in the screenshot, but the request information, any tasks, there's a task tracking system, any activities, notes on the particular request that has come in, and then all the matches. The other thing that is a huge piece of our system is impacts. So we track impacts, and we have a standard form that's really driven by NIST, where we ask how many jobs, either retained or incremental jobs, were created as a result of the assistance that we provided, whether they had retained sales or increased sales, whether they had new investments into their business, or if they had new investments, or if they had cost savings. So those are the areas that we track within the portal. Something we've added over the past couple of years is the ability to track grants. So this system tracks requests, matches into our experts and innovation assets. It tracks events and all the matches that we create at events. It tracks grant applications now, and people who partner on grant applications, and who was awarded, and the impacts from those grants. And then it also has a new reporting feature where you can, at any time, it dynamically generates all the impacts across the system. I don't know if you can see it here, but we have about $110 million of impact for all of our engagements over the past several years as a result of our tracking. That's the total impact that we can say that we've had. So that's pretty good when we're talking about trying to justify our existence. And a lot of credit goes to the Jeff Lawrence Innovation Fund, which is the other part of our program, which is a fund that awards $2.5 million a year. $1 million a year to manufacturers who are either commercializing something, or they have a technical need or grant where they've partnered with a university and they're trying to get a project funded, and that is our manufacturing grants area. So that's all I have on the Fuse Hub side. So I'll end that. And you can feel free to contact me with more if you want more information.
Thank you very much, Kim. So, Rebecca?
Yes. So there are a couple of questions. We are sort of running out of time, but I think we should at least try to take 5 minutes. We could maybe do a shorter coffee break. So the first question is, curious to know how many connections from industry to institutions are being generated for these platforms? And are you able to monitor usage of the platform? So I'll let you each individually answer that.
For us, I would say probably about 25% of our requests have a university involved, and of those 25%, did I say percent? 25% of our requests have a university component involved in it, where we matched up a university.
Okay, Jeff?
I would say, so for the Ohio Innovation Exchange, because we're still an emerging platform in many ways, we have mostly anecdotal examples over the years. We've been live since sort of late 2018, and now up again just a couple of weeks ago on the new platform. But most of our numbers are in that space, and then we have data on our Google Analytics, and those are steadily climbing. But I don't think we have that kind of information. Maybe next year in Miami, we can give you guys an update on that. So I'll pass it off to Amy.
Yeah, we're sort of in the same boat. We rely mostly on anecdotal information, and we don't have a real reliable way of getting that at this point. It just, we stumble upon it, so we don't have good ways to monitor that.
Irina, did you want to add anything to that question? Or
So I think that the question was about how many matches. Like, even anecdotally, can you tell, like, do you make 20 matches a year? Do you make 10 matches a year? Do you know how many matches?
Yeah.
We have no way of monitoring that, because people come to our site, it's publicly available. They can contact the experts or the center directors themselves. We are not, an intermediary in that sense. We're just, the information. So we have no way to track that.
So you're not following up after, like, what happened after the people meet?
We don't know that they meet. We don't even know that they meet. We don't have that. So if we decided to create a login, then we could track that, or at least some of that, who is, potentially visiting, and then what kind of searches they're looking for, and what profiles they looked at. But we're not set up to be a broker at all, and we just don't have our business model right now is not set up to really track that.
So go ahead, Kevin.
Oh,
I think that Kim has a different system, and that's how
Yes,
it was kind of
yeah. So
more in the brokerage.
Yeah. So we make we get about 500 to 750 requests a year, and it's pretty much a 1-for-1 match to the number of matches. Sometimes it's an inquiry that it really was more of an informational thing, and wasn't really a match that we made, so we just provided some information. So not all of them get a match. So probably last year we had 500 matches, and the year before we had 1,000 matches. And I'm not quite sure. I got to figure out why it decreased so much from year to year. But we're between 500 and 1,000 matches a year. And the reason why we can track it is because we do it internally. If we were public facing, we'd have a lot more of a challenge doing that.
Right. So the question was about challenges you have, and I would add to that how you address these challenges, and what would you want to change in your system because of these challenges?
I would say it's for us, the data from each university, it's every institution has a different challenge in terms of getting the data to us. I think it's a discovery process for the university and for us about what they're capable of and how the data is organized. So there's a lot of this data cleaning and collection, and it's not just this, click a switch and we can load all those profiles. Same thing with equipment, and determining what equipment a university wants to promote is a surprisingly political question. So that's kind of interesting too. Those are probably the biggest challenges for us.
Amy?
So yes, definitely data collection and cleanup is a big challenge. We did set up a meeting with a lot of the universities, statewide meeting, and part of the intent is to try and collaborate on these systems more, maybe even share resources, maybe so form some kind of cooperative so that we can get some of these vendor services as a group and maybe get a better deal. So there's lots of, I think data is definitely the biggest one. And then reaching out to business and industry is another challenge for us. We don't have a direct conduit, so it's always an intermediary of some sort. To let them know that ExpertNet's there and what its value is, how it can be used, I think that's another challenge for us.
Okay.
Kim?
So for
Yeah, we on a second question, Rebecca. We
Okay.
figured that you were.
Okay, we're running behind, so
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just to quickly, mine is sustainability. I mean, we generate a lot of impacts that we can track, which is great for getting grants, but how do we make the portal sustainable from a industry standpoint?
Okay, very good. We are scheduled to have a coffee talk. And so we're supposed to from 11:50 to noon. So we will reconvene here back at noon, and people can go to tables. Don't forget, you just double click on the seat of a table and it will move you to that table. So we'll see you back here very shortly. Great session, guys. Very good.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Lundell. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.